Hey podcast, just before we get you to this episode, I wanted to invite you to join us at pageantlaunch.com. We are starting the world's first dedicated pageant review site, and we want you to join our launch team. All you need to do is put in your email address. It's completely free. We are looking to make the pageant industry safe, transparent, and fair, and we'd love your input on how to do that. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, whack in your email address, and let's get you to this episode. Hello everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project. Apologies for running a little late. We've had issues. Our special guest, Jazmine Alessio, was on time. In fact, she was early, which is on time. And Rach, we're getting back from her exciting new job, and Ruby's microphone wasn't working. And she tried to tell us that it wasn't working when it wasn't working, which didn't go well.
Yeah, just read my lips.
Yeah, okay. Let's catch up with everyone. So, Rach, why don't you tell us what's been going on in your life? I mean, obviously, new job and Miss World.
Oh, yeah. So I started my new job last week, and yes, and it's now a full working week that I've done there now. So that's really good, and it's very challenging. Oh, I was in the Daily Telegraph as well. Just randomly. Yeah, it was good, and yeah, I picked up 3 copies, one for me, one for my mum, and one for my dad, and yeah, that's it really.
Would you like to tell Ruby and Jazmine what happened when you were announced as the first person through?
No, not really. Oh my god.
Tell them anyway, please.
I was wearing this dress, and I had a train on the back of it. I borrowed it from Maddie May, and really nice dress, by the way. But some girl kept like standing on the back of my dress as I was walking, and you know that's what happens when you wear a dress with a train. But I didn't realise that she'd been standing on it while we were being announced, and I was the first one announced as a state finalist through, and I tried to walk, and of course someone's standing on my train, so I was like an elastic band. I was like, oh no, not going. So embarrassing.
Was that the video you posted though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least it didn't like come down. You were like,
oh my god,
yeah. That would have been worse.
I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think about, oh my gosh, nightmares for the rest of my life.
Well, congratulations on making it through to state finals.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yay.
The look on your face when you were announced was one of pure surprise.
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to get through. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go. And then, yeah, that happened. So that was pretty cool.
Well, you won in typical Rachel Gallagher style with
really did.
a great deal of awkwardness, but we got there in the end. Ruby Adamson, can you explain what's been going on? Not explain, explain. Tell us what's been going on in your life since you turned 5,000 last week, and why you have the blue.
So old now, ready for retirement. No. So I've got pretty much an influx of people wanting headshots, which is really, really great, especially because I'm going over to New Zealand in November and I don't have any spending money. So I'm really excited for those photos to come along. But mainly what's just been happening at the moment is getting mum ready for the National Miss Australia pageant. So we're just helping her out, making practice, little tips when walking. We did a little bit of a routine the other day. So it's going to be good fun. I can't wait to see her on stage.
So have you been coaching her?
Yes, I have.
And how is she as a student?
She's pretty good. She's pretty good. Lots of giggling. A few little bit of Sandra Bullock moments from Miss Congeniality, but I think that kind of works. So.
When you say giggling, is that your giggling or her giggling?
Mainly her, because I'll be like, oh, just do this spin like this. And she's like, how do you do that? Like, can you do that again?
Well, I'm happy for her that she's got a new job as well. I saw your post.
Yes. Yeah, she will be starting work in 2 weeks, I believe, at Suzanne. So, and she was like the oldest one, and she got the job. So that just shows you that if you're old, you're wiser and you're better as a person. So
I don't know. It means
You
you're.
just called your mum old.
I know. Yeah. Also, you're better as a person. So young people, you're horrible. But get old, then you'll be better. It's like.
yeah, old people are great.
Okay, it's gonna be one of those days. Old people are great. Quote Ruby Adams. Young people are horrible. Jazmine Alessio, let's see if you can bring some common sense back to this podcast. Can you introduce yourself, and then why don't you fill us in with what's been happening? I guess since you were over in America, because I interviewed you before you went to America, and my audience certainly would have heard from you since. So update us on everything.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Jazmine Alessio, Miss Teen Australia New South Wales International 2019. That is such a long title.
I was going to say, you just get me PTSD about trying to say your title. I can't say it.
Yeah. So in America, I had a great time. I made so many new friends. All the girls were amazing. I was lucky enough to make top 10. That was one of my main goals, and I was so happy that I got that goal. It was awesome. Since being back, I haven't really done much. I've just been working a lot, trying to save lots of money for all my future goals that I have in life. I currently just got a second job, working on weekends now. So pretty much I'll be working 7 days a week, non-stop. So yeah, I'm really excited for that though. But other than that, I haven't really been doing much. I do have a few pageant things coming up that I'm not allowed to say just yet. So yeah, that's pretty much all that's been happening. Just work.
And also, you, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you take out an award at the AGSAs?
I did, yes. Miss Natural Beauty of the Year. That was
Don't
really
ask me. I can't remember what one of you can't.
No, I thought it was Miss Teen, but it's just Miss Natural Beauty of the Year. That was so exciting. It was so fun to go there and see all my Sash sisters all come together again. That was my first one I've ever been to, so it was definitely very exciting to be there.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, that's caught everyone up on what everyone's been doing. Guys watching, if you know the drill, if you have any comments, leave them in the comments below. Does anyone know Tom Annette? Because he said hi.
No,
but hello.
It was just a whole lot of awkward silence. Thank you for that. All right, everyone just no, nothing. All right, now I mentioned to the queens that I wouldn't mind discussing today sponsorship. Well, sponsorship, but also raising money. The two are kind of the same. So raising money for charity and or sponsorship. And then also interviewing. So kind of two separate topics, money and interviewing, because I put up a post asking people what their biggest challenge in pageantry was. And there was a couple like fashion, walking, but overwhelming was how do I raise money? Because no one wants to give me any money. And interview scares the living daylights out of me. So let's tackle the sponsorship or raising money issue, which I'll start off by saying I know is extremely difficult here in Australia from what I've seen. And I had one girl message me saying she's entering Miss World. She's Miss World second time, I think, this year, but also been in Miss Universe. And she also said that it gets harder when you keep going through and you have to ask your same circle of friends for money again. And their attitude kind of is like, why are you doing it again? Haven't you done this enough? But she was comparing herself to some of the girls in Miss World this year, not what Rachel's competing in, but 2019, Sarah Marshke's year. And I know, for example, I think one of the girls raised $48,000. It was definitely tens of thousands of dollars. Oh. And this girl who asked to remain anonymous, she said she was comparing herself with that and going, well, how do I raise money to that level? And I said, well, from my experience, it's mainly when that girl has really good connections. I know that girl was working in corporate life, 9 to 5. So her friend, her network obviously has some amount of money. And that does help a lot. But enough of what I'm saying. Can we just get through to I guess, your guys' experience with raising money. What have you found that works? Why don't we just start with that? I'll go around the circle again. So, Rach, why don't we start with yourself in terms of sponsorship or charity or just raising money in general?
Oh, okay. So I've done a couple different ones that have had the charity sort of element to it. It is really difficult, especially I think in Australia, because people don't really understand pageants to start off with. So you've got to explain that you're in a pageant, then you get into a conversation about explaining pageants. And then you kind of go around in this big circle, and then you get to the point where you're like, oh, I'm raising money for such and such. And then by then the person's eyes have just kind of glazed over and they're just staring at you like, what? For me, like raising money, I, have to go through to very close friends or something like that, or family members and stuff. And the money that I've raised hasn't been like within the thousands at all. I think the most I got was about 500. But personally, I know that my strong suit really isn't fundraising. I like doing it, but I never get, $48,000. A lot of people who do that, I think they either have very good connections. Some people get their parents to pay for them with that sort of stuff. And it, I think, is a bit of a difficult topic because money is always kind of awkward to talk about anyway. So once you kind of throw that into competing and where you can get in as a state finalist or like a national finalist or something like that with paying an amount of money, it's just a bit difficult to talk about.
I get what you mean, because sometimes you'll see, because you can see on people's GoFundMe pages the amount of donations, and sometimes a company or person that has donated that money, and sometimes there are huge amounts in there and it looks like it's come from a company, and then you dig in and you find that actually was the parents or partner, let's say, transferring the money through the company name. Now, I've got to say, $48,000 is $48,000. It went to a worthwhile charity, but it's definitely not a level playing field. And there was a girl in the UK who basically was almost crying to me in a message saying, how do I raise money? She has no connections, and her parents aren't even supportive of her entering pageantry. So it's, as you said, it's tricky. Ruby, what about yourself? What have you found works well, or what are your frustrations with the topic?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty much the same with Rachel when it comes to, I don't raise a huge amount of money. Probably the most I really get is like $500, which is still incredible, obviously, if it's going to a charity. But I find I get a better response when I don't mention the word pageant as much, because obviously people have a huge stereotype around pageantry. So you come out and like, oh, I'm in a pageant. And I'm this, and they immediately like, no, toddlers and tiaras, don't want to be a part of it. So I always, when I'm messaging people about sponsorship, I always say I'm a part of the Australian International System or the organisation, and people are a bit more inclined to help out because the word pageant isn't really insinuated there. Even if you state it's more of a modelling competition, they tend to be a little bit more happy to help out. And in regards to charity, obviously focusing more on the charity element than saying I'm raising awareness or funds for this charity for this pageant. So that's the best that I've gotten and what works for me.
I got to say, I mean, raising about $500 is still amazing. In terms of sponsorship fees, that's probably about how much it costs minimum. Some of these girls are dealing with sponsorship fees that are thousands of dollars. So if we can only raise $500, that's extremely difficult. Jazmine, what about yourself? What have you found works, or do you share the same frustrations as Rachel and Ruby?
For me, regarding like getting money for charities, I always and like sponsorship, they kind of can go hand in hand. I always go around to my local community and I either have a letter like describing what I'm doing and like giving them an in-depth detail of what I am doing, and I really let them know that the Heart Foundation is what I'm raising money for, and that's where people will take a step back and like want to hear my story a little bit more as to why I'm actually raising money for them. And also, like, I know it's bad to say, but you pull the heartstrings a little bit when you talk about someone that you've lost, especially. So I guess that's why some people will tend to give money a little bit more. Regarding sponsorship, I think the best way for that is to go around to every shop in your community, even it's just like the local shopping center, and just go around handing the letters, let them know what you're doing. I've noticed in my community, I've got a few people that have helped out throughout my pageant years, and I'm so thankful for them. That's what I think is giving an in-depth detail of what you're doing, because if you just say the word pageant, they, like Ruby said, they're going to be stereotypical and be like, oh, it's just toddlers and tiaras. So I think going in depth is definitely really important when trying to help, like trying to get sponsorship and raising money either way.
Yeah. And I don't think it's bad at all to tug on the heartstrings. I mean, I was watching a presentation, or they were taking a course today on marketing and how to sell. And the guy was saying the way you do it is by telling your story. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily it's not manipulating someone. I mean, if you tell someone your story, like obviously your story with your grandfather who you lost to heart disease, it's not like you're making that up. So I think when you actually approach people for sponsorship or to raise money, if you actually tell the story, I think you're doing them a favor, because it makes it more interesting. Because I will say a lot of the girls who are approaching for money don't really present themselves in the most professional manner with their sponsorship letters and emails. The email basically says something like, I'm doing such and such pageant. And Ruby and Jazmine have already said what the reaction to that. It's normally negative. It then goes on for probably 2 or 3 paragraphs about how great the pageant is, which the person won't care about because they don't know anything about pageantry. And then in return for the money, they don't ask for anything in particular. The girl just says, oh, whatever you want, I'll do. Like if you want some photos taken, I'll do the photos for you, or this and that. I'm going to ask Rachel, because I know she's good with writing letters. Have you, because I know you helped, you've helped me with some letters in the past. Do you have any tips for someone, a pageant girl, who may be not as wordy as yourself, because you've obviously done a lot of stuff at uni, but how do you draft, and Jazmine and Ruby chime in, how do you draft a professional looking sponsorship letter or email?
Well, I think there's certain ways that you have to write letters just generally in life. So like to whom it may concern, like making it sound a little bit more on the professional side, because if you just say, hi, so-and-so, or something like that, they're not really going to take you seriously. And I think that's just a thing about learning how to be professional and using professional language, which you can take over into your career as well. And that's why pageantry is so good, because there's so many transferable skills. But I think with the whole drafting of the letter thing, have maybe 3 points that you really want to get across in your letter. So you might have 3 bullet points. Your first bullet point might be about, I'm doing this pageant or something like that, or I'm doing this, this is what I'm interested in. The second one will be maybe about the Heart Foundation or whatever. And then your third one would probably be about, and this is what I plan to do to raise money, or this is what I plan to do, or maybe asking if they want to get involved with you, if you're going to run some sort of event or something like that. It really depends on what you're looking to do with your stuff. But making it very clear about what you're asking and having very definite, even if it's like bullet points, don't actually put a bullet point because that doesn't look good. But like you're writing in mini paragraphs that are like bullet points, and make it very short and sweet. Yours sincerely, your name, your title, or whatever you're competing for, whatever you like, and then just pop it in an envelope, pop it on an email, whatever, and just send it off. Yeah.
I know Rachel tends on the formal side of things. I'm I wouldn't say slightly less formal. Sometimes I don't go quite as formal as what she just suggested. I'm not disagreeing with it. But I would say that I've seen some girls finish not so much start the email, but finish the email with like X's. That's like, I think I wouldn't suggest doing that. I've seen that and gone, yeah, you maybe like best wishes or kind regards, but definitely just not, talk to you soon, XX. Ruby and Jazmine, how did you guys go about getting the sponsorship for international? Because I don't know if it was on Jazmine's post, I can't remember, but I definitely remember seeing you guys would quite meticulously hashtag after your posts, and I'm assuming they were sponsors.
Yes. So for me, I think we all kind of do a letter in some way, but I kind of set it out more in a resume kind of way, because essentially that's what you're doing. You're basically kind of applying for that sponsorship kind of job, let's say. So obviously having your introduction saying like, dear whoever it may be, with the introduction of I'm Ruby Adamson, I am a part of the so-and-so system, tell them a little bit about what their whole goal and aim is, not like a whole page of stuff, obviously, but a little bit, and your ultimate goal of I'm raising funds for this, and this, and then have in return for, your sponsorship, whatever it may be, I can supply this, and this, but obviously sticking to what you have listed. I think that's another thing, because a lot of businesses want to know they're getting something in exchange for helping you. So if you can provide them with something, they'll be more inclined to help.
I'm just going to jump over to the Facebook comments because Jazzy's mom has commented a couple of things. She said you need to work with your charity and meet up with them and get a fundraising certificate. This will help with recognition as to who you are raising money for. I remember getting those for Grand from Destiny Rescue, so absolutely. And she's also said talk to your local community and local MP. That's a good point, because I know, for example, Krista Heath did that and she actually got a mention in Parliament. Jazzy, how did you go about drafting your sponsorship letter or email?
For me, for the international pageant, I actually went into my local shop and I went to the sports performance shop who I'm sponsored by, and I actually talked to them face to face to tell them what I was doing. I feel like talking face to face is if you can, it's a whole lot better because you get that personal connection rather than just over a letter. Definitely. So that's how I really go for it, is just going face to face would probably be the best thing.
Yeah.
And then talking about that relevant information, not just blurbing out a whole bunch of random stuff that they probably don't need to know.
Well,
yes.
Not only do they not need to know, they don't want to know it, and I think the more you tell them, the less your chances of getting sponsorship. But definitely, because you said, Jesse, that you've worked with your community, you've had a couple of regular sponsors, so if you can do that, then I think that's great, and I think that's part of what pageantry is about. Do any of you know anyone who can help draft sponsorship letters? Because I know there are a lot of pageant girls who would simply like help, and I assume they'd be happy to pay for it. But does anyone know anyone who can actually help draft a professional looking, as Rach said, email or sponsorship letter?
Yeah, I was Rachel. And I would say me, technically, because I do have graphics kind of background. So I'm good at making it look really visually appealing. So to get Rachel to write me to visually appeal, and then Jazzy to be like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm going to give you this letter in person.
Jazzy's mom has said Jasmine's sister. Does your sister draft these things, does she?
Yeah, I was going to say my sister's really good at writing letters and persuading people. So I think, my sister would definitely be very good at that stuff.
Persuading people. Okay, so there's a couple of people who can help out. Yeah, I mean, look, not everyone's blessed with being able to write a proper sounding email. And, some people's spelling is atrocious. I would say, because I'm a spelling Nazi, it does make it... Spelling and grammar does make a huge difference. Like, you're putting YOU''RE when you mean YOUR. It's like, that's not a good thing if you're getting those things wrong. Just before we hop over to interview, which is a very juicy topic, I do want to address a bit of an elephant in the room when it comes to charity, which is, I don't really think it's fair if in a pageant you're judged solely on how much money you raise. Because of what we've discussed, it's already not a level playing field because not everyone has the same level of connections. Judging someone purely on how much money they've raised, to me, doesn't seem fair. So I would ask the three of you, if we weren't just to look at how much money was raised, what are some of the other things that you would like to see a contestant or you would like to see yourself judged on, other than simply how much money did you raise? Does anyone want to take this one on, or do I just point to someone?
I'll take it on. I'm good.
We're all like,
Do you want to be first, Rach?
You can scissor, paper, rock.
I reckon. Wait, hang on. What was the question? I got distracted.
What other things could we be judged on? Would you like to be judged on other than simply how much money did you raise? And if someone raised 48,000 and you raised 500, you're like, well, I have no chance, so why even bother?
Yeah, I reckon I'd really like to be not judged on, but like considered, I guess, for like community engagement, like going out into the community, not necessarily raising money or anything, but doing it kind of like appearances, but not just an appearance. I've known people who have, reused photos from months ago as an appearance for, a title or something like that. And I don't know like how you can negate that or whatever, but when I am competing in something, I really actually do like to get out and go and do radio interviews and go and meet people and actually really get on the ground and talk to people about the things that I care about and the things that I advocate for, like female leadership, something really important to me. So yeah, I think just community engagement is probably one of the things that I think pageantry should be looking at more, because I do know that even from my new job, like a lot of places actually do look at what you do in your spare time beyond just your job. And I think that that's something that we need to focus on in pageantry, maybe even just to make it more accessible for people outside of pageants.
Yeah. Ruby?
Okay. I was like, my turn now? Okay.
Ask Rachel.
That's okay. I love you, Rachel. It's fine.
God's sakes.
And I forgot what I was going to say. We're having a moment here, aren't we?
We're having seniors moments. Ruby's turned 20 and she's already forgotten everything.
We're getting so old. Okay, we'll go to Jazzy and then we'll come back to me because I've completely forgotten. I've just said I love Rach and then I was like, Rach. Oh my God, what was I supposed to say?
We don't know if Jazzy has anything to say, but I'm sure Jazzy...
No, I do.
Yeah.
Ruby's just throwing you under the bus. We'll go to Jazzy and Jazzy's like, what?
No, I'm good. I got this. I think something that it's kind of like with what Rach said is when you're judging, like looking at people actually getting out in their community. And I think a really good thing is connecting with your charity that you're working with. If you're actively working with your charity and trying to actually make a difference, I think that's a really important thing that judges should consider and look at, because anyone can just go out and just do this, but connecting with your charity is probably on a whole different level, because you're seeing what people are doing, I guess.
I think that's a really interesting point, because I think we probably should look more at people who are simply doing work for free, philanthropic work, rather than just charity donations. For example, if you look at what I do, the Pageant project, the number of hours I've put into that and trying to help the Australian pageant community, I haven't raised a cent. In all the time I've been doing this, I like to tell people I've made 17 cents. Because that's the total amount of money I have been paid by YouTube. So 17 cents, it's like, yay.
Wow.
But the number of hours I put into it, I think should count, because there are some people whose talents would be better off used someone starting a business, or let's say you help a charity with their social media, which is a huge thing, rather than simply, I've raised $10,000, I'll give it to you, and now I don't know where it goes. So I think that's a really interesting point that you bring up, Jazzy. It's like actually getting on the grassroots level and working with a charity rather than just raising money, especially sometimes we don't know where the money goes. I know that's a touchy subject, but we don't. And sometimes it doesn't go to where we actually want it to go to. Ruby, have you had time to remember what
Yes, I remembered.
Go, Grandma.
Okay, so the biggest thing for me is I know so many girls that do over 50 appearances or over 70 appearances and work really hard volunteering their time at events, whether they just be like fashion shows or charity events or whatever it may be, and these things aren't counted when it comes to the final score. And I think that's a huge thing, because you want to know that that girl is going to go out and she's going to promote as much as she can through her year of reign, instead of just because this girl has raised the most money for their charity, they're the best person for the job. But if they've only done one appearance, then how do you know they're going to go out there and be like a good promotional source? So I know one woman in particular, Emily Harders, who was
Mrs. Galaxy.
Mrs. Galaxy Australia back in 2017. But she did over 70 appearances, and due that she actually was pregnant as well. So, and I've also had someone on the other hand who's been pregnant, said, I got pregnant during my year of reign, I couldn't do any appearances. And I was like, well, if that person can go out and be pregnant and do 70 appearances, I'm sure you can do something.
I'm going over to the Facebook comments. Jazzy's mum is agreeing with us. Ruby's mum, this is just like the mums chiming in here.
Yeah. Hey, moms.
Hey, mum. Catherine has said, I honestly don't think a lot of pageants look at appearances, so echoing exactly what Ruby said, but it's such an important part. Rotary is very supportive when it comes to charity fundraising too.
Yes.
Jabina has said, yes, definitely how much work they do with their charity should be recognized and judging. I absolutely agree with that. Charity awards should not be based on money raised, but more time put into their charity. I think, I think we're basically in agreement there. So what I was going to say something, but then I had to go to Ruby and now I've forgotten. Ruby, can you explain, just completely change topic, what is the blue thing behind you?
Okay, so I really like fabric and I will go and buy bits of fabric, or when I was in textiles at school I used to just steal a little bit of fabric. Don't tell anyone. But
you say that on live and now you say don't tell anyone. You clearly don't know how this works.
So it's all good. But yeah, it's got little dots on it. It's really cute. I'm not going to say what Adrian said it was, but it's
I said it was nipples.
Yeah. It's not.
Because that's what it looks like. You guys get so uptight about saying certain words. It's like it doesn't have to be taken in a dirty context. Everyone's like, oh my God, you said that word. It's like, yes, it's an actual word. Anyway, God, I told you it was going to be one of those. If you guys can look, you see, I've decided to start changing this scrolling text to reflect what we're actually talking about. So I very helpfully now put currently discussing Ruby's random blue background.
Oh wow, that's epic. I feel so special.
I had a thought earlier on about the sponsorship thing, because you were asking about that. I was going to say, local businesses is a really good idea, but I go to a really, really good hairdresser in Bondi. They're called Head Office. Yes, I'm going to spook them because they're really good. They're really, really good. And before I went to America, I told them that I was just going to come by and, get my hair cut and everything. And, you get yourself pageant ready. And they were really good. They were giving me hair tips. They were like, oh, try these shampoos. If you kind of foster a good relationship with local businesses, like just by popping in, saying hi, getting on their Instagram, giving them a bit of a shout out and stuff like that, it really does work both ways. And it's really nice just to have that relationship anyway, even just outside of pageants, because one day we won't have a title and then we'll still have lovely friends in cute little businesses. So that's nice.
I don't want to pick up on that because what you said is really important, because I think approaching a business that has something in common with you, like aligns with your values, makes it so much easier. So for example, obviously you're going overseas, Rach, to represent Australia in a pageant. It kind of makes sense that a hair business would go, okay, we want to work with you because if you spruik us on your social, that makes sense, versus going to, I don't know, a diving store or something like that. So I think a lot of girls in the past, and you guys chime in if you can think of any other examples, but obviously any sort of hair or makeup salon, tanning salons, gyms have often, or personal trainers to get you into shape. Can you guys think of any other sort of businesses that would have a more natural alignment with pageantry?
Well, I've had about 3 skincare businesses actually support me, and that's a huge thing because you're doing makeup every day and your skin gets disgusting. So skincare helps a lot.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like beauticians, they're definitely ones you can look out for.
Yeah, like eyelash people who do like the the pink eyelashes and stuff. Like if there's I don't know.
Teeth whitening places
teeth
too.
Whitening, yeah, like
Dentists.
maybe like a shoe store or something like that. Just anything really that if you're going to wear it and put it on you and you can take photos of it, they're probably going to want to be involved with that because you can kind of get customers from those sorts of areas.
And I want to state the bleeding obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. If someone does sponsor you, you should offer to spruik them in your social media. And if you do say that you're going to give them a shout out, please do it. Don't say you're going to do it and then not do it. So tag them, put them in your hashtags or whatever you agreed on, and that should be specific. So it doesn't mean you have to tag them in every single post, but this isn't the sponsorship letter. You should say, in return for X amount of money, I will do a certain amount of shout out posts. And then remember to do it, because it gives all of pageantry a bad name if you say you're going to do something and then you don't do it. But I mean, specifically, it gives you a very bad name. Just before we go over to the how to crush interview, that sounded really violent. I do want to give you guys just a chance, if there's any sponsors that you've worked with long term and you want to give them a shout out, because obviously Rach has shouted out head office. Do you guys want to give a shout out to any sponsors who you've worked with sort of and been really supportive of you? Or do we just move on?
Well, I mean, this is kind of like bias, but Little Sunshine Imagery.
That's yourself.
If you need headshot photos, I'll do a pageant discount. Go to the number here. No. And my mum also does How Friday Feels, and they're scrubs. So after you've had a long day of walking in heels and your feet are killing you, you do these sugar scrubs, put in the hot water, and it just like massage your feet, and it's the most amazing thing in the world. It helps so much. So those two people are pretty great. As I said, I know they're kind of us, but yeah.
No, that's fine. I mean, because you actually do something. I've got no problem with people spruiking something as long as they're adding value. So I'm all good with that. Jazzy, is there anyone you want to shout out to? Or
I'd say Visage Boutique. She has helped me so much, Kim, like with all my dresses throughout all my pageantry. So yeah, definitely Visage Boutique. Just Sports Performance, they've helped me a lot as well, my local sports performance shop. Yeah, just those two.
Cool. Okay. Let's go across to, let me change the text to interview.
My favorite category. Yay.
What should I call it? How to crush interview?
Yeah, I think how to crush interview.
Yeah, I like that. It sounds violent, but also very clickbaity.
I do so many headlines. I know how to do clickbaity headlines. Sometimes I have to restrain myself. Now, to give you context, as I said, I asked on Instagram what areas people struggle with most in pageantry. The sponsorship and raising money was a very big one. And then equally as big, if not bigger, was interview. And specifically, some of the problems, the main problem seemed to be when I'm interviewing myself in front of the mirror, I'm great. But as soon as I have to actually do it in front of other people, I fold like a cheap suit. That seems to be the main problem. So I know that all three of you can talk to the cows come home. So I'm sure you've never had any problems with interview. Fine print, I'm joking. I'm sure these girls have struggled with interview. But since Ruby has said it's her favorite category, sounds like a game show. Why don't you start us off, Ruby, with interview tips specifically for not just how to do it, but how to feel confident so that you can actually give the judges a sense of who you are?
Yes. So my little tip, my biggest tip is I kind of have like folders in my brain. So if someone's going to ask a question, I have a folder that's going to relate to that question. So, you know, what's the biggest problem facing the world, or anything that kind of, you know, is worded the same way, I immediately go self-confidence and body issues. Like that's a huge thing. So having folders in your head that will kind of relate to a question, no matter what they ask you, you will have an answer that will work for that question. Because I know a lot of girls and pageants, they give you out the questions beforehand and they come up with a word for word answer, and then they get on stage and they like forget that one word and it totally mucks them up. So I wouldn't say be too rehearsed, but definitely have that, you know, that topic in your head that you know that when they're going to ask something, you can relate back to that. That's a huge thing for me. And I'm trying to think. That's like the huge thing for me. But the main thing is being truthful about what you're speaking about. Don't just go in there and go, oh, I'm going to answer it this way because I think the judges are going to like it if I say that. Be truthful. If they don't like it, they don't like it. But, you know, they may really enjoy what you're saying and they go, oh, you know, this girl is passionate about this. I feel this trust because she is being truthful with what she's saying, and it may just win you the title. So the thing for me is make sure that you're not lying. Just speak truthfully. Don't go in there and go, oh, I'm going to say this because I think this person will really like it, or this judge is focused on this topic, so I'm going to relate it to that, if you know nothing about it.
Have you actually heard of girls, I don't know if this is a common practice, but actually completely memorizing their answers to questions? Is that a common thing? Was that a thing?
Oh, yeah. Your judge is like, yeah.
That seems like a really bad idea.
It is.
Yeah, it is, because if you forget one word, you're going to stuff up your whole answer.
Yeah, and it will seem like you don't know how to talk because you just...
Yeah, like you're trying to remember something, like you've just studied this whole certain thing, and it's not like you have any idea of what else. You can't branch out because you just know that certain sentence.
Like have the topics that you want to speak about, but don't rehearse them down to the last bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ruby, how do you rehearse? Because that's a big thing as well. Because as I said, the girls have said a lot of the time they're okay until it comes to actually do the interview properly. Like if they're talking with their friends and family or their parents, they're fine. So how do you rehearse with the idea that it's, you got to deal with the confidence issue?
Okay, so it's going to sound really bad, but there's two types of people in this world. Those who wing it and can do it really well, and those who can't. So that's really hard for me to answer because I am someone who basically wings it. Like I'm prepared because I know what things I want to talk about, but all in all, they ask me what it is and I just answer whatever basically comes into my mind first. So I kind of wing it.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying without blowing smoke is that you're kind of naturally good at interview.
I'm good at speaking. I like speaking.
No one's noticed that at all. Jazzy, where do you fall on this spectrum of interview is a natural thing for you, or is that something that you've really had to work on?
I guess this is gonna probably help with confidence, but know what you're talking about. Like if you're gonna because our pageant, like Ruby and our pageant is very platform based. Right. So if you're going to go into the pageant and you don't really know much about the platform that you're supporting, and they're asking these really in-depth details, of course you're going to stutter and not know what you're talking about. So definitely knowing your platform at the back of your hand pretty much. And it's easy to talk about yourself because you know who you are. So I think the cliche thing is just be yourself. I know everyone says it, but it is. You just need to stay true to yourself. Definitely being more prepared for a platform-based pageant is very important. Especially knowing your facts and the statistics about it, because it will make you sound like you know what you're talking about, even though you should know what you're talking about.
And do you rehearse in any particular way?
I rehearse some points that I want to say, definitely know points that you want to bring, main points. Don't just talk, don't ramble about things because they'll get bored and they probably won't want to hear what you're saying. So yeah, just main points that you want to say.
Yeah, knowing when you're boring the audience is a very valuable skill that a lot of people don't have. I just going back to Facebook comments for a sec. Catherine, Ruby, your mum has said the background makes you look blue like a Smurf.
Oh, that's cool. Or more like an avatar.
So that's cooler than Smurf. And Jabina has said, I think also when you get sponsorship, you should give them a plaque or gift in return for their support. Yeah. This is what Jazzy has done in the past. Yeah, I kind of would hope that that's common practice, that if someone sponsors you, you give them something back. But definitely, I would...
A bottle of champers and chocolate will always work. Same.
For you or for your sponsors? I mean, who are we talking about here?
For sponsors, Sponsors are pretty happy with a bottle of something and chocolate.
Because I'd be happy with a bottle of champers and chocolate too. Rach? Gift of the gab for you? Yes, no?
I didn't used to have the gift of the gab. Well, it depended on who I was talking to, but now I guess as I've gotten older and I've done a couple of pageants and I've been in interviews for jobs and I've been in interviews for pageants and I've done all these different types of things that I never thought I was ever going to do. I've definitely come out of my shell a lot more. I think when you're preparing for interviews, I don't think you should just go away and prepare for an interview. I think you really should be preparing for life. It's a life skill. If you can't talk about something that's very important to you in front of a small group of people or a small panel, then I think think that that's something that, you need to go away and definitely think about and practice. And it is a skill for sure. Interviewing is definitely a skill. In my new job, like with recruitment, you interview people every day, and interviewing skills is a really big thing that we focus on. And I'm only really just learning about that now, and I'm still learning, and it's part of my job now. So it's definitely a skill that's transferable across pageants to real life, and you really need to know yourself, like Jazzy was saying, and whatever platform that you're picking, you have to be living that, not just picking it for the sake of, I have to pick something. I'm just going to pick, diabetes awareness or something like that. You actually have to live it and have a connection to it so that people feel connected to you when you talk about it.
Rach, you have interviewed people, or remember you've interviewed people before for your uni work. So did you find that interviewing other people helped you with your own interview skills? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, it definitely did. So, but when I was doing the whole interview process, I actually studied a particular type of interview, and it was based around a philosophy. Phenomenology, exactly.
Still gives me
nightmares. It's based around like a philosophy.
That word together with Jazmine's title, those two things are the worst things in the world to say. Even Jazzy, I didn't put this out there, but Jazzy got her own title wrong in the introduction. She got it right the first time, and she got it wrong the second time. But Rachel, sorry, phenomenology.
Yeah, so I studied that, and that's a specific way of interviewing people. So if it's something that you're interested in, there definitely is a whole wealth of information on how to speak to people and how to present yourself and how to be engaging, which is really important. I think that people think that you just are born this charismatic person, this leadership type of person that shines in an interview, but you can actually learn those skills, and that's what I've done as well. So if I can do it, I reckon anyone really can.
And another little tip that I have, so the reason why I enjoy speaking and why I'm a bit more confident around it is because during high school, I used to do drama for sport, and obviously playing Dungeons and Dragons, that's role playing. So you've got to act out the scenario. So I think a good tip is to pick a topic, and whatever it may be, it can be a fun one, and just act it out and speak about it. That will help with overall your speaking.
That's an interesting thought. I do know a lot of the UK girls I've been interviewing in pageantry have a background in drama and the performing arts. So, and I've noticed a lot of them interview very, very well. So maybe that does have something to do with it. Now, just because Rachel has started a new job, I know she's incredibly busy and she's crashing. I don't want to go too much longer tonight, because otherwise she'll get hungry again and then start yelling at me.
I still, it's cold now, but I still have my toast.
I don't.
I legit still have it. It's the saddest piece of toast I've ever seen.
It's gonna be cold now.
I know.
Nasty.
Right. Talking to you guys. It's worth it. I have more in the fridge.
That just looked like a dirty diaper.
Thanks. I'm still gonna eat it anyway.
I know you were. But I don't want to drag her out too longer, because Rachel started a new job and I don't want her to hate me for the rest of my life. So what I and I'm just thinking on my feet here, and I'm going to do it, so you guys get ready. I was looking over here because I know the Pageant Planet, when you sign up with your email, they send you a list of 225, I think it is, practice interview questions. So I've downloaded that now. And rather than gaming tonight, because that does take a deal of time, I'm going to go around to you guys, and we'll just do a few and just see how you guys go. I'll put you on the spot. And
and I'm so happy.
Okay, so we'll go in order of Ruby, Rachel, Jazmine, and then we'll go back around. So Ruby, Rachel, Jazmine. Okay, so Ruby gets the first question.
Now I'm scared.
Okay, and these are from the Pageant Plan. And this was what I did. If you guys go, and I'll put the link somewhere, I recorded these questions out verbally on a video. The reason being, what I thought is, if you're on the run somewhere, not on the run, if you're traveling somewhere, I'm on the run trying to escape from the authorities, and you just play the YouTube video, go to a random spot, because I spoke like 150 questions. Go to a random spot, listen to the first question you get asked, and then try and answer it. That would be a neat way of practicing, because you don't normally get given the question on a piece of paper. So you can do that as well. Okay, so Ruby, you're up first. And these are, now, some of these questions are specifically US, like the political questions. We're not doing that. We'll do the general ones. So it says pageant questions. If you're competing in pageantry, you have to know what is happening in the planet of pageantry. Here are some of the questions you should know the answers to. So, Ruby, why should we select you as our title holder?
The reason you should select me as your title holder is because I am someone that will always give 110%, and I can promise that through whatever I do, whether that be social media or whether you see me publicly, I can promise that I will be doing you justice.
I'm not going to get you guys to give feedback because I think that'll be cutting it. That was very good. You suddenly became serious, Ruby. Like you went into a...
Yeah, I know.
It's a different person. She's not the person who couldn't work out how to turn her microphone on before. Okay, Rachel. Pretend, and this you have to think of a particular name. So, for example, let's take it for Miss World, the finals you were just in, okay? And you'll see why in a second. If you don't win this title, which contestant would you like to see win and why?
That's a good question. I would not really have anyone in mind because I don't really know anybody yet, but I would want someone to win who upholds the mission of beauty with a purpose. I think that's really important. If you're going to enter a pageant, I think that you should really be living the value of the pageant. And I, as a contestant, would like to see someone who truly lives that in their everyday life.
I like the way you answer that, because obviously it's difficult because these are theoretical questions, but the way you went into the real part of your answer, that's a very important skill. Miss Alessio, if you win tonight, how will you use your title to benefit others?
If I were to win tonight, I would use my title to benefit people with heart disease, and I would use my title as a platform to encourage people to live a healthy lifestyle and to engage in regular checkups, as well as to maintain a healthy life.
Okay, let's just do one more each. And I'm looking at these, and one of them in particular is a very difficult one. I will give the very difficult one, the one I feel is difficult anyway, I'll give it to Ruby, because she is the keen bean. Otherwise, it was destined. It was destined in terms of how we're going. It was destined for Rachel. I think it's difficult, but Ruby will probably smash it and say that was super easy. Give me another one. But Ruby, do you think the swimsuit round is derogatory?
I personally love the swimsuit round because I think if you can get up on stage in a bikini, you can do pretty much anything. It's about promoting your own body image and be confident within yourself. And as I said, if you can go up and do that, you can do anything.
Yep, she handled it well. Okay, Miss Gallagher, what do you feel is the most important part of competition?
I think the most important part of competition is fostering relationships with other people. I think that's something that I just generally would do in my own everyday life anyway, that you'd want to go in and compete fairly with other people, but also have a valuable connection that you can take without of the pageant into everyday life, and making sure that you keep in contact with them and that you have a lovely network of people that you can always reach out to.
No, that's cute.
No.
I don't think you'd ever hear a judge give that response after you've given the interview. No, that was cute. You'd be like, oh crap, I screwed that one up.
We know Ruby would now.
Yeah.
The thing, I don't know, Ruby generally doesn't have much of a poker face. So if she's happy, she looks happy. If she's puzzled, she looks puzzled. On a judging panel, do you have a poker face, or are you one of those people when they do something great, you're like this, and then when they're doing something horrible, you're like, oh my God, look, do you have a poker face?
Because the biggest thing for me is I've come out of a system where I was timing for interview, and the girls would come in and they'd leave, and the judges on that panel would criticize every single girl. So for me, when I've been judging now, I just give everyone the smile because I want them to feel comfortable. I don't want them to be stressed. So I want them to be able to look at me and be like, oh my God, she's so happy. I really like her. So I think smiles are a huge thing that help everyone.
Yeah, fair point. No, there's no point making someone feel miserable. Miss Alessio, final question. Why do you think some people have a negative view of pageantry?
I feel that people have a negative view of pageantry because a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes of what us pageant girls do. They just see the on-stage part and they just see the beauty. That's why I think pageants have a negative aspect.
Catherine Adamson has set pressures on. I will say, Rach and Jazmine looked a little nervous. Ruby is like, oh my God, yes, interview. We get to play interview questions.
I'm a bit rusty. I haven't done this for a while.
I'm a bit rusty too.
That's the thing, Mama Bear. You'll be having to do this later. So practice.
Here's a difficult one. I was going to give it to Jazmine, but I didn't give it. If anyone feels like taking this one on, go for it. It says, respond to this statement. Pageants exploit women.
Ooh.
Who wants to take that one?
I reckon we should all answer it.
I think so, yeah.
No, me. I can't hear you. My internet connection's dropping.
I'm going through a tunnel.
I'm going through a tunnel backwards and I'm turning my computer off. I can't hear you. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but Ruby, you seem keen to give it a go, so you give it a go. So, again, respond to this statement. Pageants exploit women.
I think pageants are an incredible thing for women as it does build up our confidence, but it also allows us to be really passionate about someone, be inspiring, and especially for the millennials coming into this world, I want to make sure that they're growing up to these amazing women figures.
Nice. Rach, did you want to give it a go? You were making quizzical sounds.
I can give it a shot.
You don't have to. I just thought you wanted to.
No, I'd like to try it.
Okay, so I'll repeat the question. I'll pretend that you've asked me to repeat the question. So, respond to this statement. Pageants exploit women.
Exploitation is a pretty broad term. I think that because pageantry is so niche, especially in Australia, people don't see, like Jazzy was saying, people don't see what goes into pageants and pageantry and the whole lifestyle around pageants. The people that I've met through pageantry are actually very kind people, but they're also very strong people, and I don't think that they would let themselves be exploited in any way. And I think that that's a really strong thing about the pageantry community, and especially about young women growing up now. We are taught to be very outspoken and very strong, which is a positive thing.
That was a very considered answer.
How'd I do?
Yes.
Jazzy, do you want to give it a go? I'm not going to just skip you. You don't have to.
I feel like I'm just going to say the same thing they're going to say now.
Yeah, it's not fair if you answer last.
About going last. I mean, I could give it a go. I'm probably just going to repeat the same thing, but okay.
Okay, well, no, in that case, no, I'm going to give you a different question. So you're not just repeating what those two said, because it's difficult to go after those two because they gave really good answers. It'd be much better if they were really crap at it, and they don't make you sound really good. Okay, so final question. How do you respond to people with a negative view of pageants?
When people say that pageants have a negative aspect, I would turn around and say, you don't know unless you try. A lot of people have that negative aspect because, like I said before, you don't have that. They don't know the behind the scenes. So I don't think you should give pageantry a negative thing unless you've actually tried it and done one before.
That's really interesting, because if I hadn't given pageantry a go, in inverted commas, I wouldn't be here. The whole reason I actually started the pageant project was because I didn't think I should be judging something unless I experienced it, and now a year and a half on, I'm still here. Jabina has said, well answered, girls, and she's given you guys a clap.
Oh, thanks.
3 claps.
Thanks, Mom.
I assume it's an enthusiastic clap, Jabina, not the slow, sarcastic clap.
You just do this one.
Like...
Catherine has said, yes, I'm scared. I don't know why Catherine is scared.
Because it's her turn next after this. Ruby's going
You're
to...
wise, Mum. You'll be fine. You're old and wise.
Oh my god. If I said that, my mother would kill me.
If I said that, I would run out the door because my mum would kill me. And Jabina has said, yes, you should all answer. Well, we got the answers at the end. Okay, so before we wrap up, why don't you give the audience an idea as to what your plans are with Rach and Ruby anyway for the next week? And Jazzy, why don't you fill us in with... We'll start with Jazzy. Why don't you fill us in with what's in store for you for the rest of, 2019?
Wow, that's crazy. That's coming to an end.
2020 next year.
Wow. I know, I'm 20 next year. No, but for pageantry anyway, I do have a few things coming up in November. I'm not allowed to say just yet, so it's on the down low. But I have a few things coming up there. I'm really sad to be handing over my title in February. I can't believe that's come around so quickly. I'm turning 19 next month. That's crazy.
Happy birthday.
Personal things. Wow.
Dying over. Happy birthday for next month.
Well, thank you.
Are you okay?
I'm choking on kombucha.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well, also, just to be clear, I've not been
death.
drinking beer. I've actually been drinking kombucha, just in case people are going, oh, he's drinking alcohol. No, it's kombucha. Jazzy, sorry. I interrupted.
Go on.
But other than that, I don't really have a lot going on. I'm going to be working a lot. Hopefully I can fit in some more appearances before I finish up my reign. But yeah, just keep on the social to find out.
Jazzy, can you still do your introduction to your YouTube channel?
Oh no. Do I have to do the whole thing?
It doesn't take that long.
I know. Hi guys, welcome back to Jazzy G.
I swear there was more to it than that. I just remember the hands.
No, because you could see the end. The end.
What were the hands? What was the end?
You go. Don't forget to subscribe, turn post notifications on so you can be notified when I post.
Did you ever restart that YouTube channel?
No.
Is it upcoming, or is it like you're working 2 jobs now, so it's like, when would you have the time?
I know. I don't know how I'm going to fit that in.
Just do the vlogging.
I love vlogging. It's so fun, but I don't know, going out in public and holding a camera, people will just stare at you funny and you're like, okay, it's all good now.
Yeah. But especially here in Australia, when you're taking, like, it's getting a bit better, but whenever you're videoing yourself and you're talking to it, people look at you funny. In America and other places, everyone's doing it. Everyone's on the street with a Insta hubby trying to get the perfect photo, but here in Australia, it's a bit weird. I guess also you're working 2 jobs. You wouldn't have time to vlog about anything except your work, so...
Yeah, hi guys, I'm going to work again. Oh, hi guys, just to let you know, I'm going to work again.
That might actually get some views. You don't know. People watch really weird things on YouTube.
Maybe.
And listen to really weird things. Miss Adamson, are you dying or are you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
So what's in store for the Smurf?
Smurf. Well, at this point in time, it's just making sure that Mama Bear is ready and that she's not stressed about anything and that I can help her out wherever I can. But other than that, yeah, I'm just working towards helping the girls that are coming through for the 2020 competition for international and just living my best life because, you know, you never know when your time might come to pass. So you just got to live a happy life.
I got deep really quickly.
That's a really dark turn.
You just reminded me of a post.
She was like going up and then she went back down.
You put up a post, didn't you, on your birthday saying 1 year closer to death?
I mean, it is true.
She ain't wrong, man.
I'm not quibbling with is she right or wrong. It's just like, wow, that's a really bright thought to have on your birthday.
Got a very bad dark sense of humor. So, you know, these things come out and people, they all have the same reaction.
I swear to God, I'm not surprised by it anymore. The number of pageant girls who have really dark senses of humor and also the ones who are obsessed with serial killers. I don't know what it is. It's now the most common answer when I ask people, what's a job or occupation other than your own that you would really like to attempt? The most common answer now is forensic psychologist.
Or a serial killer.
Yeah, well,
You know, it's also bad, the fact that we bring this up nearly every podcast.
Because everyone keeps answering it to me. Everyone goes, "Oh, I'm not your typical pageant girl. I have a really dark sense of humor, and I love serial killers." I'm like, no, that's what she said.
I also.
You guys all scare me. Jazzy, do you have a normal sense of humor, or are you dark like Ruby?
I think mine's pretty normal. I don't think I have anything dark at all.
The last of the kind. The last of her kind, everyone.
So you're actually the abnormal one now, because you have a normal sense of humor that doesn't involve talking about death on your birthday, Ruby. 2 questions, Ruby.
Yeah.
When is your mum's pageant, and when are you going over to New Zealand?
Okay, so I've got to get it right. National
Australian Miss Program.
Yeah, I always get
I just remember it's NAMP.
So that's the 9th and the 10th of November, which is coming up very quickly.
Mhm.
And then I am going over to New Zealand. I believe it is the 21st to the 3rd of December. I'm going to be there for a long time. I don't know if my boyfriend and his family will be able to handle me for that long, but we'll see.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. You're so cute, Ruby.
Okay, let's move that awkwardly along. Miss Gallagher, what are you doing for the next week apart from working?
Working.
Work.
Yeah, work. Yeah, like just getting used to my job and getting used to, new routine and everything. I know that States is next year for Miss World, so I really want to kind of plan a couple of different things around that. I'd like to do a couple more shoots because I feel like my modeling's coming along quite a lot recently, so I'd like to try a bit more of that sort of stuff. And I don't know, I might see if I can start saving to go overseas. I'd like to do a bit more travel by the end of this year, if not early next year, but hopefully the end of this year.
Nice.
Can't believe it's almost the end of this year. Next year is 2020. It's
Almost Christmas.
Have you guys noticed that if you look at some oldish sci-fi movies, we're now living in years that they talk about would have been the end of the world, or like, Back to the Future, we're now past those dates?
Yeah.
That's just really...
We're supposed to have flying cars. I'm waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, that hasn't happened just yet.
Hoverboards. Hoverboards. We're supposed to have hoverboards.
Yeah, we need big hoverboards.
I'm also waiting for the day. I don't know if you guys ever watch Spy Kids, but the day where you can put the little the little plastic thing in the microwave comes out and it's like a full pizza. I'm still waiting.
Yes, I need that in my life.
I'm still waiting for it.
Right now, I'm loving Jazzy's face. She's just looking at the two of you going, oh my God, what's wrong with these two people? So, Jazzy, now you know what I got to put up with every week. The discussion.
You never said that we were normal.
Oh, those are famous last words. Okay. I feel that should be written on someone's tombstone. Okay.
I'll take it.
I am going to leave it there. Thank everyone for watching. I will just mention that obviously Rachel has said she's happy to help with sponsorship letters if you need help with drafting them. Jazmine's sister, I'm sure if you contact her through Jazmine, and then Ruby has obviously does graphics and photography. So if they can be of any help to you, message them. Their links, their bios are in the description of this video. I'm going to let the...
Don't you dare do it again.
All right, let's see how long. Okay, on the count of 3, I'm going to give you a challenge, and we'll finish on this. I'll let the audience go. I'll keep you guys on for just a sec. But on the count of 3, let's see which one of you can be the fastest to trace their Insta bio from the correct direction, in the correct direction, with your index finger. Point below your video and trace out. See if you can figure out which way to go.
Oh, you're going to move mine. I know you.
Ruby, you're not pointing at anything.
Okay.
Jazmine's gone off the wrong way. Rachel's winning. That's not fair. You tried this last week. Well done, guys.
Yeah, I had practice.
Okay. I'm going to thank everyone for watching. Queens, I'll keep you on for just a second, and we'll speak to you again next week. What's up, guys? It's Adrian again. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to head over to pageantlaunch.com. Join our launch team for our review site. It's super important. to all of us to make sure that the industry is safe, transparent, and fair. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, write in your email address, and we'll speak to you next time.